Today we're creating this really natural men's makeup look that I've been doing recently. I'm really feeling those a bit more neutral shades as we're slowly getting into autumn. By the way, I'm Mattis. I make mainly men's beauty content here on YouTube as well as on the other platforms. So if you're into that, make sure to subscribe and say hi in the comments. And now get yourself a drink, relax, and we'll begin. I'm gonna start with some skincare. I've been using these Korean beauty calming Centella pads. They come in this really quite pretty bottle. Well, it's not a bottle, but you know what I mean. And you get this little, again, can't really find my words yet, but you get this little device and you sort of lift them out of the packaging. So just to show you, the pads are inside and they're sort of soaked in this calming juice, which is just so satisfying. I'm just trying to get one. Oh, there we go. And they're these really thin, gorgeous pads soaked in this toner Centella solution that's really, really calming and hydrating. And I've been really enjoying these. They feel really refreshing and cooling. And, you know, they're great for any redness you may have in the skin, which is probably, especially after the summer, we still have a little bit of summer left, but especially after all the sun exposure, something really calming and redness reducing is perfect. And I am not someone, I don't love sheet masks all over the face. I don't know how you feel, but I always feel they feel quite claustrophobic. Whereas with this one, you can still have movement to the face, and they just feel like, they feel like one of those eye pads, like eye masks that I actually really enjoy, but they just cover way more ground while still not covering the whole face and giving you that claustrophobic feel. So I've been really enjoying that. And yeah, just letting those sink in and dry while we zip our coffee and catch up a bit. I made this coffee and it's way too sweet, but it's delicious. Now I always put stevia in my coffee. I always make 2 espresso shots. I put in 3 tablets of stevia and I add some cinnamon, and today I also added some like a flavor agent. I used a sweet sort of almond one, which is quite nice, but I added too much and now it's quite sweet. It literally tastes like from a coffee shop where they use all this syrup, but yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. I also added ice, but that's all melted by now. You might be able to tell my voice is so raspy. I have been going out a lot lately and also working very hard and being more organized than usual. So I feel like I've slightly lost my voice and it's sort of this raspy, sort of Lana Del Rey sort of vibe. But you know, maybe that's my new thing. Maybe we'll make that work. Why don't we use this time and I'll slightly talk you through the skincare I've been doing recently. I got sent this Paulas Choice Vitamin C Serum and I'm really enjoying it. It's the clinical 25% vitamin C plus glutathione serum. And there was a time, I'm going to try to make this a Mattis Uncut. So if there's any stuttering in this video, that's what you get. That's what you get with the Mattis Uncut video. But yeah, there was a time where I sort of forgot about vitamin C serums and I'm on them again. I also love the Medicate vitamin C serum, but at the moment I'm using this Paulas Choice one. And I feel like as soon as I start incorporating a vitamin C serum into my routine, I see these brightening benefits, and it might be placebo, but you know, I've been using them for a long time. And you know, there is a bit of waiting time involved when it comes to brightening, pigmentation and such things. So yeah, it might be placebo, but I feel like immediately when I start getting into the routine of a vitamin C serum, I just feel like everything is right back put into place. The skin is just overall more brightened, and I also feel more safe when I get a bit too much sun exposure. I mean, I always apply SPF. I also reapply. I actually do reapply unless I am inside all day, which sometimes I will still reapply. But I just think a vitamin C serum is just one of the most powerful, important things we can use, and I sometimes forget about them because I use retinols and things and also don't want to overdo it, but it has been really working for me. And I feel like my skin, even though I am breaking out a little bit there around the eyebrows, probably due to my cutting my eyebrows, or rather shaving my eyebrows every day, But yeah, overall my complexion has been great. Really, really happy with it. And I feel like any pigmentation from the summer is really beginning to brighten and fade because of the vitamin C serums that I've been using. Then I've also been using the Augustinus Bada. I use this combination that I've been doing for a long time now. Ever since I received this serum, I use this almost every single day, and I specifically use this around my eyes. And then I follow it up with the cream I've been using for years now. I love the cream. Again, I'm sparing with these products. I use them mainly around my eyes and the laugh lines here, where I really want to make sure everything is even and sort of smoothed out as long as we can. I am 31, which is funny because I tell myself I'm 25 and stuck at 25. And you know, it's been working. Another thing I've been using, I haven't used it last night, but I have been using it a lot, is this Self Tanner by Clarins. These self tan drops, and these I actually realized after buying them that they are meant for the body, which is funny because I wouldn't have thought to use a self tanning drop on my body. I tend to use self tanning mousse, as you know, but I use these mainly on the face. Even though it says body, yeah, I bought these for the face, so I'm using these for the face, and I think they have a face version. It's probably really similar. But yeah, I use like 3 to 4 drops of this on the face. I mix it in with a moisturizer, and I've been really enjoying it. To be fair, I didn't use it yesterday because I do give myself breaks in between, but especially before a night out, or if I know I'm gonna do a shoot, or I'm gonna go to the gym really early and I don't want to apply makeup, a self-tanning drop is just a crucial part of the routine. And you know, it makes you feel more comfortable about leaving the house without makeup if you are sort of in a pinch, because I mean, I do actually, there was a time where I didn't leave the house without makeup, but actually recently I don't care about it as much, and I will leave the house without makeup, but it is nice if there's a little bit of a self-tanning going on before that. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. I'm gonna remove these. I actually let them sit longer usually, but just because we wanna get on with this video. Now you can see what my skin looks like after 10 minutes. I feel like there is a soothing quality to these for sure. My skin feels more even, and it also is really hydrated, which is fantastic. But yeah, I'm going to follow up with the Augustinus Bada serum I just mentioned. This is the amount I use, so very faint, very small, because you know, this is precious. And I use it around my eyes with the ring finger, and then the laugh lines right there, and a little bit onto the top lids. And then I immediately followed up with the vitamin C serum, the Paulas Choice one, and I use about this amount. So apply this all over the face. Again, I am able to take this relatively close to the eyes, but you want to be careful depending on your skin, because historically vitamin C's that I've tried have been very harsh, and you know, those very high concentrations of pure vitamin C. I don't actually think this one has ascorbic acid, which is the pure form of vitamin C. I think this is a tetrahexyldecyl ascorbate. I think that is ascorboglycoside. Okay, I'm not actually sure, but I don't think it has the now confused my brain. What is it called again? What did I just say? The pure version of vitamin C, literally what I just said. I don't think it has that, so it's actually, it feels a lot more gentle than those really harsh vitamin C's, but it still feels powerful. And yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot. Then I used the cream, Augustinus Bada. I used this again sparingly, almost like an eye cream, maybe like a little bit more than a regular eye cream. And again, the center here around the eyes, just where the face moves the most. I don't move my forehead, I don't have Botox, but I just barely moved it, and the muscles, I feel like from not using my forehead, have grown sort of weak, so it just automatically doesn't move as much, which is fantastic. I just trained myself when I was around 18, because I was always vain, awfully vain, even back then. And that's actually something really interesting to this, because I feel like one of the reasons for my vanity is my ADHD. Might be a weird thing to say, but essentially I always felt a little behind on life because, and I mean that is of course in our heads and the programming we get from being exposed to crazy success stories and social media and of course conditioning throughout our family and parents and stuff. But I always felt I am from a family that values sort of productivity a lot, but they are also amazing and supportive. But yeah, essentially with my ADHD, I always felt behind and I almost felt like I needed to slow down my aging in order to be able to catch up with discipline and productivity and my career, which maybe that's a toxic thought, just being honest. That's what I felt like. Felt like I needed to slow down my aging because I was such a late bloomer in my mind in a way. And so very early on, I started training myself when I laugh to try to not move my forehead too much. And it's very much ingrained into like how I move my face. And even when I smile too much, there's a sort of feeling I get in my head like, don't move your face too much. And I am expressive and I do move my face and I do laugh. But yeah, there's this sort of thought in the back of my head. And you might be like, oh my God, that's terrible. But I am in therapy. I'm fine. Okay, moving on to the moisturizer I've been using. I've been using again from the brand 110 Skin 104. Wow. Why did they call it that? That's so confusing. But yeah, I've been using this moisturizer, again, Centella, and I'm using this pretty much on the rest of my face where I don't use the Augustinus as well as on my neck. And I've been really enjoying this. It's sort of a cushiony, really pleasant feel. I believe this has, again, yeah, Centella. I don't know about the ingredients of this. I should look into the ingredients of this, but it's a very sort of cushiony but not thick moisturizer. I have combination oily skin, so this is quite pleasant to use, and it feels like it's just filling out those dry sort of cracks that can, happen. It just plumps the skin up so nicely. It feels like while also soothing the skin. So I've been really, really enjoying this. And then of course, finishing up with a great sunscreen. Always talk about these, the Aqua Relief SPF by Beauty of Joseon. And I'm going to use quite a bit of this because I will go outside after this video. So that might be actually a little bit too much, but I'm going to take it down my neck. And, this is just one of the most fantastic sunscreens because I rarely ever want my sunscreen to be super shiny. I prefer if the skincare does most of the moisturizing and most of the work in terms of really plumping the skin and being anti-aging. And then I just want the sunscreen to be a light layer that almost just balances everything out. It doesn't get too greasy, doesn't get too shiny. And you can just tell I literally just applied it, but already there's not a ton of shine. And it's on top of a lot of skincare, so it's quite significant to me that this sunscreen doesn't add this sort of greasy shine, which so many of them do. I really value your feedback, by the way. I'm so happy that you seem to love those long videos where I don't cut too much, because in a way it's, I'm trying to get back into that routine of really being consistent. And these are the videos that just feel natural to me, and they allow me to post really regularly and consistently. Whereas with those high production videos, it's a lot more work. And next to my Instagram and TikTok that I try to post as much as I can. Follow me, by the way. I'm going to link it down below. But yeah, I really am quite happy that you love these long videos. Okay, so in terms of makeup, what I've been doing, I think even more than in recent years, I've been valuing a makeup that is really enhancing, but really undetectable and really natural. So it really needs to do both. It needs to excel in both ways. And I've been sort of starting with the contour. Been really into contour. I don't think I'll ever not be into contour, but let me just give this a wipe before I show you. But yeah, I've been using the Nessa Myricks little contour balm here a lot, and you know, it's well used. And what I've been doing is with a small little brush, picking up a relatively small amount and just contouring the face. And I'm realizing as I do this that I skipped a step, and maybe that's a mistake. And I think we'll pause right here. We'll pause at the nose contour, and we're gonna sort of do what I forgot about, which is I need a bit of bronzer because my body, it's a bit more bronzed. I did fake tan, but I didn't fake tan my face. So we'll need to rectify that. And what I've been using for that is the Makeup by Mario sort of skin enhancer. This is such a beautiful product. And it looks like this. You know, I showed this many times, but essentially I've been using this IT Cosmetics brush and just adding a bit of warmth, especially on the cheeks here. And this does give a bit of glow, so I do tend to keep it on the sort of outer perimeters. And I also find that it lasts really well. I feel like the technology he has put into this is fantastic because of how well this lasts on the face and how incredibly easy it is to put on. Every single time I put this on, I'm surprised because it took seconds. It took literal seconds, and immediately my face matches the body, and it just like, you could leave it like that. And apart from the nose contour, you can totally leave the house like this. It's just fantastic. By the way, I do like this brush, but it's not like, it's coming apart a little bit. So that is a bit worrisome. So I don't know if I would recommend it, but I have been using it a lot. I do enjoy it, this sort of double-ended brush. But it's perhaps why I don't tend to buy and recommend these double-ended brushes. It's because the storing, you know. When I put this inside, it messes up the smaller brush a little bit. So it's not ideal, but it is convenient. Anyway, you can tell this Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer, fantastic. I feel like this must be one of my top products of the year because it's so intuitive, it's so easy, it does multiple things at once. Anyway, it's a fantastic product. And let's move on to the contour here. You can let it sit because it's so blendable. You don't need to worry too much about it. But yeah, I've been picking up a small amount and sort of just enhancing a little bit of the cheek here. So I do a little bit of shadow and, you know, bring it under the cheekbone and a little bit low. It's almost like a little triangle. So making the shadow sit right there and dragging it a little bit down and a little bit back. And then I've also been doing a little bit on the temples here. I don't know why. I just really enjoy when the forehead looks a bit more sort of squared off and a bit more the dimension it brings. And also it just makes the cheekbone stand out more because you have the shadow underneath the cheekbone and then you have the shadow on top of the cheekbone. So this area here stays a bit lighter and it just stands out a bit more. And then this is something, it really depends if I do it or not. But yeah, if I go to the gym, for example, I don't bother. If I go on a night out, I will do this. So a little bit of the jaw contour here. I do really enjoy that. And then I've been using the IT Cosmetics, the smaller side of the brush, and just blending all this contour work out. And it's just the easiest contour to blend. It lasts well. The color is perfect because it has enough grated where it looks like a believable contour. And yeah, it's just fantastic. And with this brush, even though it is a little bit wibbly wobbly and I am worried that it's gonna break off, so I will not recommend it, but I have been enjoying it nonetheless. I've also been really enjoying the blushes from IT Cosmetics, the cream blushes. They're significant. I think I might use them. I might use them in this video. Let's see. This is significant. So we're still not supporting, you know, that big coffee conglomerate. Is it a conglomerate? I think I just said that to sound smart, but it's not a conglomerate. We're still not supporting them. So what is the coffee of the autumn season that we're going for, because we're not going for the pumpkin spice latte. Or are we drinking a pumpkin spice latte but making it ourselves or buying it somewhere else? I want to know, what is the drink gonna be, the drink of the season? Is it matcha? What is the vibe of my following here? I really want to know. Are we matcha Pilates princesses? Are we beer drinkers? I don't think we're beer drinkers. I'm not a beer drinker. I don't really drink beer because it just makes me feel so full. I like something refreshing. And this might be very gay of me. Don't give a shit. I love champagne. I love Aperol Spritz. And I love a skinny bitch. I love a vodka wellness, as the more politically correct term is for a skinny bitch, but I just love saying skinny bitch. It just rolls off the tongue. You're gonna be like in a bar and you're like, I want a skinny bitch. But yeah, for the bar or for a club, I always go for a vodka wellness. So vodka with sparkling water and lemon. It's just easy. I know how much I can drink of it to have a good time. I feel like I've been drinking more this summer. And I've had a really fun time going out. And yeah, the skinny bitches have been raining. But yeah, I love an Aperol. Also love red wine, much more than white wine. Don't love white wine. Maybe because in Austria we get really good wine. We can buy fantastic wine for a very low price, even like supermarkets and things. But when I was a student, I primarily got drunk on white wine, so my brain just sort of connected to getting shit-faced, essentially, getting really drunk, and so I don't love it as much. Why am I rambling about wine and alcohol? But yeah, great contour. I hope it's blended. You know, it always looks different on camera, but in real life, it looks really good and really natural. And we're gonna move on to the next step, which is concealer. I'm back into the NARS Creamy Concealer. And did I ever get into the NARS Creamy Concealer? Yeah, I think like years ago I did enjoy the NARS Creamy Concealer. But you know, it's an iconic staple in the makeup world. They're just very good. I will say the colors, I'm sort of in between two colors. I'm in between the color vanilla and the color custard, because one of them is just a hint too light, which is actually this one, and the other one is too warm and too dark. So just mixing a little bit of them too. And I really this is already way too much concealer for me, but this is sort of how I've been doing it. So mainly in the center of my face, and I just blend it out with an eyeshadow brush and really drag it down towards the mouth, sort of around this area, because this is always where redness, discoloration, etc. shows up. And also my patchy beard, I really hope it's coming back. I have a beard that has gone very patchy, so there's a big patch here. My mustache is already almost completely gone. There's a big patch here. So that's why I initially started shaving it completely, because I tried to fill it in on a daily basis and it just looked awful. So that's why I got rid of it. But luckily I do like my face shaved a lot. I have gotten very comfortable with my face shaved, and I think it does make me look sort of youthful, and I think it suits me, especially because my body fat percentage is reduced, whereas I used to rely on my beard a lot for definition in my face, and I feel like I have that more now that I've reduced my body fat percentage. But yeah, I do wish I could grow my beard fully again. And people have said to me to use minoxidil, but I hate using minoxidil on my face. Not really for me. But yeah, I feel like it's just a stress-related thing. I think with life changes and things, those things can sometimes happen. And I am counting on my beard to grow back, hopefully. But yeah, you can see how great that looks. Now, there might still be discolorations hanging around. Well, there's a little spot here that I will actually conceal. right above the brow here, and I'm just gonna, again, with this eyeshadow brush by Refa. I love Refa brushes. Well, first of all, I love their incredibly simple design. They're all about quality, but really simple design, which I love. It's excellent. And I also have a spot right there, but who cares? Who cares? Let's not get carried away with spot concealing. I'm not going to use any foundations and things. I really want my skin to look very natural. So what I always do at the end of applying concealer and things is I go over the top with separated tissue, and I just try to remove any of that excess shine in the center of the face, because that always makes the face look like makeup, especially on video as well. I often look back on older videos and I feel like this shine in the center of the face, or where you applied any makeup. But yeah, the shine is always the dead giveaway that it's not your natural skin, but that there's something sitting on top of the skin. So the tissue trick is fantastic, and it's actually something that makeup artists backstage, or even when I worked in Charlotte Tilbury in Covent Garden at the boutique, we would always do this. So we would always take some shine off with a tissue. Coffee, giving me life. Even though I drink decaffeinated coffee because of my ADHD medication, combining caffeine and ADHD medication is too much for me. I've realized over the years. I tried it so many times, but at some point I was like, this is not good for me. Why do I keep doing this to myself? The jitters and the anxiety you get, so not worth it. Okay, what do we do next? I feel like a little bit of eyeshadow. And what I've been using is an eyeshadow primer. So for a long time I used a liquid eyeshadow, and I still use that one a lot, which is the Armani. It sits right here on my table. The Armani eyeshadow, but I do need to order the Makeup by Mario ones. Liquid eyeshadows in a sort of contouring color, just not to be underestimated. And you know, we're all about a very enhancing, natural makeup look, so those are the products that we love here on this channel. This is what I do. I use an eyeshadow primer. This is the Manhattan one. It's really affordable at the drugstore here. I also love the NARS one and the Fenty one. I always mention those. But yeah, I've been back into my Romance palette, which everyone needs this. I mean, if you can find your skin tone, because of course K-beauty brands notoriously awful for the skin tone selection for darker skin. But if you have lighter skin, or even light medium skin, I think they have a second palette. So good, so fantastic. Everyone needs something like this. Well, first I set the eyebrow area, or the eye area. And I know there's some makeup artists that think you should go in directly on top of an eyeshadow primer with the eyeshadow. But personally, I just disagree. I mean, it depends. It depends if it's a matte eyeshadow on top of this really matte base. It can just sometimes be a bit too sticky, and the blend is just not as good. So I just prefer to just set the eye with a little bit of powder first, and then go in with the eyeshadow palette. I'm also considering if we should do a different one today. I've been using the MAC eyeshadow a lot in the shade Sandstone. Let me open this, which is also a fantastic shade. I've also been back into the Charlotte Tilbury palette here. Which one is this? The Super 90s, I believe. And you know, this is well used and loved. I'm in the mood to use this shadow today, actually. So maybe we'll do that. And you know, we can always use the other ones in another video. But yeah, this palette has quite a few shades. And actually this, if you have sort of more, I feel like most skin tones could get something out of this palette, because you could use these sort of warmer, deeper shades to contour if you have medium to deeper skin, or you can mix in the black if you have black skin. So yeah, I've been using this contour shade, and you know, I always go onto the eyes first and then into the crease, and just go back and forth. Windscreen wiper motions, as we learned at Charlotte Tilbury. Sort of little circles in the inside where I really want to contour and create that deep set shadow. You know the drill. I do this almost in every single video. But you know, I think in the beginning of my YouTube, I was like, I need to reinvent the wheel every single time. And now I'm like, you know, some of you really enjoy the consistency and not being surprised by every video and having videos that are sort of consistent. So, you know, this is what I do. I don't really do crazy makeup looks. I'm here for very natural, enhancing, contour, blushes, evening out the skin in a very beautiful, subtle way, making the lips look better, making the brows look better, bringing out the facial, the contour, the bone structure rather, and really just making yourself shine. And I think on the other side that makeup artists that really transform the face with incredible creative makeup looks are incredible. You know, there's so many of them that I follow and love on social media. And there's absolutely time and place because, I mean, what they do is makeup as art, for sure. For me, it's a sort of everyday form of art. I always loved the idea that I can use art on a daily basis. So when I go into a museum, I almost picture how something might be in my own life. And that's sort of what I'm most interested in. Not really art for art's sake, but art for how can art be included into everyday life? Because we're all so busy, we're all working and we're all sort of constantly on the go. So the exciting thing is if we can incorporate those things into everyday life and have moments where we sort of stop and slow down and enjoy ourselves. That's, I think, my favorite type of art is that sort of art we can enjoy every single day, like perfumery, which I still owe you a perfume video. I am aware. But yeah, so I think the skin is looking great. I think I want blush. What do you think? I think we should absolutely add some blush. So I've already talked about the blushes I've been absolutely loving by It Cosmetics here. The Sun Blushes. Great name for a range. They basically came out with sunburnt shades, which is exactly what I would do if I had a makeup line. These beautiful, beautiful sunburnt shades for light to medium skin tone. I think they have more shades, but essentially the formulas are so exquisite. They feel almost cool to the touch. They're very, very creamy, very, very blendable. And I'm just gonna use a faint amount. They are pigmented but sheer. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. They are incredibly blendable, but yeah, they're sort of the right amount. I mean, pigmented and sheer, that's essentially meaning they're the right amount where you get good color payoff, but they're not scary, essentially. They're very easy to use. And I've been using the deeper shade a lot if I really want that intense sunburn. But to be very honest, because it's late summer and I'm already thinking about autumnal like fashion, and I'm sort of already leaning more into neutrals and more into sort of coffee and cinnamon and moss green. I'm so excited to really go into my sort of more neutral golden brown but very nature inspired sort of color palette, you know, those foresty shades. And therefore I don't want to go hardcore sunburns in today's video. I'm not really, at the moment I'm not really feeling that anymore. Last week I was still very much so. But right now I'm feeling more of the browns. I'm also thinking to add a little bit of this new Too Faced bronzer. There it is. So a contour bronzer stick. Still figuring this one out. It's a weird one because the shade is so specific. If you're looking for the perfect contour shade, don't think that's the one. It also smells really intensely of chocolate. So buyer be aware, I don't know. It's a very interesting shade. It's sort of, to me, it's too dark and too dark for a bronzer. It's too warm for a contour. And it's also not a blush, even though it has some red to it. So I've been using this sparingly on the cheeks, almost to do a cross between bronzer, blush, and contour. So use it not super high up, I use it sort of a little bit below where I would place the blush, but above where I would place the contour, and it just brings something. And I don't even know if I recommend it at this point because I'm still figuring it out, but I feel like I am really enjoying it because I have been using it quite a lot. And it does bring sort of contour and definition. It also brings warmth. It also brings a sort of redness to the skin. Not really like a blush, but a little bit. It's almost like a skin enhancer, like the Makeup by Mario. So I can't quite place it, but yeah, it's not the perfect contour by any stretch of the imagination. Just does something, just enhances the skin, and I do really enjoy it. Another thing that I've been enjoying are Freckles. Now I am in a bit of a dilemma because I bought this product because I saw it on some celebrities in, I think, Vogue videos. And it's essentially this freckle pen thing. And it's by a brand that I don't want to support. So I shouldn't even show this on my video. And I don't suggest you buy this. It's also not that great, but I have been using it. So I do want to mention that I have been using it, but I essentially want to find an alternative. And then I never want to speak about this again. But it's essentially by Tarte. It's this freckle pen. And you know, they have not been great with shade ranges. They've been not great on social media. I will link down below a video by Robert Welsh that I watched to do some research on this brand, because I bought this essentially before seeing this video and knowing how much they mess up. And yeah, therefore I don't want to support this, but I essentially want to ask you, what do you suggest? Have you used any great freckle products? This one has sort of five little knobs, so you can create multiple freckles at a time. But I will say it's not that great because you sort of have to go back every single time, and it actually gets quite annoying. It's actually a bit of frustrating to use. Again, I don't recommend it. I have been using it, but I also have been combining it with NYX freckle pen. And I'm sort of, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I'm still relatively new to social media and to YouTube. And so I'm wondering if even just mentioning them like I just did is a mistake. But at the same time, yes, I just gave them a platform and showed the product, but it also gives me a chance to talk about where I think they messed up. And again, this comes mostly from watching Robert Welsh's video on the brand and seeing how they went along with like shade ranges. And also they had an Instagram post where they used racist language. They used a term which can be used as a slur towards Asian people. And yeah, we don't stand for that. It's awful. It's disgusting. And also the shade range they launched was abysmal. They launched a foundation shade range that had, I think, 2 shades for black people, which is just so sad. And they might have sort of changed that in the meanwhile. I don't know. They really messed up. So yeah, I don't recommend this product. Don't recommend you support the brand. I just ask you, do you know good alternatives? I was thinking to get the Freck pen, but yeah, this is what I've been doing. I've been using the NYX brow pen, and this is actually my favorite way to do freckles. Super easy. You just dot them around, and it's so easy to use. You can literally dot it around and just sort of push the freckles around very lightly. And this has given me, out of all the products I've used, the best results. But yeah, let me know what you like for freckles. I just find that using freckle pens and freckle things, I just find that bringing some freckles to the face, especially after evening out the skin, it just makes everything look so much more realistic, and I'm really enjoying it. So I do this almost every day at the moment. But yeah, you know, it would be great to have a more convenient way, you know, a way where I can really quickly create those freckles, even though it doesn't take that long. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm going to use a lip product here, which is quite fun. This is a NYX lip liner. I really love NYX lip liners, but this is the Duck Plump. And this is funny because it doesn't actually have any color, but it's a lip plumper, but without any of that annoying shine. Because what I don't love is, well, sometimes I love it, but you know, sometimes when you use those lip plumpers, they are so glossy and they make, I don't know, they just add so much shine to the lips. Whereas I want the plumpness, but I don't always want the shine. So this you can be really targeted about. It sort of creates a very thin film over the lips, and it does really plump them up. But yeah, you know, if you go on a date, for example, this is the perfect secret weapon because you don't see it. You just see the plumpness. It slightly conditions the lips almost. It has a little bit of a waxy feel, but you don't see it. So yeah, this is fantastic. I really recommend it. And then I will use a little bit of liner, and I'm going back with one of my favorite lip liner formulas, which is of course by MAC. And this is their color, what is it called? Something ginger? No, beige Turner. So it's not quite as cool toned as the lip liners I usually use. It's not like Cool Teddy. It's a little bit warmer, but I'm just gonna add a little bit, and I'm also gonna drag it a little bit onto the lips because I want that color. I want that slightly beigey, warm toned shade. And we're not gonna do any dramatic overlining. I just want a little bit of enhancing of the lip. But we will use a lip balm that I've been really enjoying, and it's by Romand. Again, really pretty packaging. And it also just smells delicious. It's the perfect brown sort of nude shade. I'm gonna show you here a little swatch. And yeah, you can see the color. It's the perfect nude shade. It has a little bit of warmth. It's brown, it's sheer, and it smells like iced tea. Literally perfect. Also really, really hydrating. So I'm really going for that subtle, slightly nude, slightly autumnal brown shade on the lips. And I've been using this a lot. This has also been in my bag if I go on nights out, etc. You know, it's a lip balm that provides a lot of moisture, but it's not too shiny. So, you know, it looks subtle. I feel like my lips look enhanced and very, very good. Okay, I feel like it's time for some powder. I'm just gonna use this tiny little powder that I've got from NYX. It's a translucent powder. You all know how much I love those. And I'm just picking it up again with this Refa brush, and I'm gonna really focus it on the T-zone here. Oh, that was in my eyeball. And I'm also gonna set the contour here in place, because any place, any area where you have a shadow and you want to really make sure that it looks like a shadow, that's where you wanna sort of set with powder, because that will look even more backwards. Because if it doesn't reflect light, if it reflects light, it stands forward. Whereas if it's matte, it sort of goes backwards in sort of perspective. So yeah, I set the contour in place, also set the jaw contour in place. Very good, very important. Also a little bit on the chin. Hate a greasy chin. Never looks good. Also hate a forehead that's greasy. So yeah, always make sure to add some there and under the eye, and setting the crease where we placed the eyeshadow and the eyebrows, because we're going to go in with eyebrow pencil. I feel like we might need a tiny bit more color in the cheeks later. But yeah, for now we're going to do the eyebrows. Nothing new with the eyebrows. This is definitely an area where I stay consistent. I have tried a few different things on the eyebrows, but this lift and snatch by NYX is just, it's always going to be the favorite. So I'm just going to add a few hairs right underneath the brow, sort of in the center here. And this is always going to be the most difficult thing to do when I try to show you, but also do it at the same time. The angle is just awkward. But yeah, I add a few in here because I just, again, want the eyebrows to have that sort of masculine expression. Almost a little bit angry, but not really. Just like a little bit, you know, intimidating. Because who doesn't like to look a little bit intimidating? And I always fill in the arch a little bit. I just don't love when the arch looks really archy. And on the other side, do the same thing. I'm just gonna do that and perfect it. Looking a bit closer, you might not be able to see it as well, but I do need to perfect it. And you know, I also do a little bit on the tail because there was a time where I completely stopped shaving off the tail, but I got into the habit again. And I do shave off not quite as much as I did before because I really shaved quite a lot. But yeah, I do shave just a little bit. So I do like to slightly elongate the tail of the brow. And that's what it looks like, the brows done. Well, not fully done. I'm also going to use brow gel. I do want to mention now the lip plumper is really setting in. I can really feel the tingle. And I feel like my lips look very big, you know? They do look like I have filler. Don't have filler. I did get a bit of lip filler. I always mention this like 2 years ago or something. The tiniest amount of lip filler didn't make a big difference. But yeah, I do want to be honest about that. Really didn't make a big difference though. The jaw did. I will let you know if I ever get more filler, which I don't think I will. I don't enjoy a super intense squared off look anymore. I feel like it's also not really as on trend as it used to be. Of course, there's the looks maxing thing where people really try to get that sort of really super chiseled look. But the looks maxing feels still a bit more niche. It doesn't feel like, it feels like people are actually making fun of it and not taking it too seriously, which I think is a good thing because all of these things can get really out of hand and problematic and a bit nutty really. But yeah, I used the brow gel, Anastasia Brow Freeze. Again, nothing new. I've been using this for months and I just really enjoy it. Just make sure that you get rid of the excess first and to use the brush on the small side of the bristles because you will get too much product otherwise. So yeah, very small amounts and your brows will stay in place. Okay, I think it looks fantastic. I feel like I do want a tiny bit more color in the cheeks. And I will use one of my favorite blushes for this, which is by NYX here. This is their Buttermilk blush. Actually, they sent me a new one. So maybe I should try that instead. Let me check. Yeah, so they sent me another one here. So let's have a look at that. It looks really vibrant, so I'm a little bit afraid. But you know, why not? Let's have a look. Let's have a play. That's terrifying. So let's compare the two. This is the one that I have been using and loving. This one, this gorgeous, sophisticated, even slightly browny mauve sort of shade. It almost has a bit of grape to it, you know what I mean? Whereas this is pure magenta almost. But it does look beautiful. It does look like a great color. I'm gonna try it. It's sort of the opposite of the kind of color I'm looking for right now. Sort of more looking for those browns and nudes. Wow, that was way too much. Okay, I'm gonna really take it off on the back of my hand here. And I mean, I still expect it to look amazing, even though it's such a vibrant shade. As long as you apply pretty much any blush color in a sheer way on my skin tone. I can't of course speak for darker skin tones, because on darker skin tones, things can look really ashy. But on lighter skin like mine, most blushes can be made to work if you use a light hand. So just gonna add faintest amount right on top where I placed the freckles. Oh wow, it doesn't actually show up that wildly. You can use a little bit more and use it right high up on the cheekbone. The other side here as well. I feel like it's giving me a faint amount of blush, which is exactly what I want. Well, don't get me wrong, you can apply these. If you don't apply these with a light hand, they are highly pigmented, so you will get a lot of color payoff, but that's again not really what I'm looking for. I want the faintest amount of color. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit on the chest here, because if you've got your chest out, it is really nice to sort of bring it all together. get a little bit of, not even necessarily a sunburnt look, but a sort of cohesive look where it just, well, it gives a bit of flush really. So it's a flush on the face and a bit of a flush in the chest area here. Sort of just highlights what you have. So it really just brings it all together. Chest blushing, we call it. And then I feel like just setting in with a tiny bit more powder. And I think that's the look. So this is the final look and what the skin looks like a bit more close up. You can see the freckles, you can see there's a hint of color on the cheeks, but not too much. Just gonna make sure that the crease is completely blended because you know that can always be the case. But what I often do if I'm out and I see there's a little bit of creasing happening in my eyelids, I just do this motion and it just immediately blends everything. Or you can have a brush on you in your bag and do this, which is also fine. But yeah, you can tell the lips are really plumped up. I feel like I had my lips done. Yeah, the brows look a bit more sharp and defined. But again, everything very soft and natural. What do you think? You know, it's so wonderful always to come back to YouTube because I feel like this is the platform where I can really show sides of me that I can't on other platforms. Now, I don't know if that's because of me and maybe I'm embarrassed to show as much on other platforms, or if it's just the formats, because I feel like, yeah, on YouTube you can just show more. And I also feel like a lot of you come here to relax and to switch off a bit, whereas, you know, the other platforms are a bit more high beat and lively. And I love both, I really do. But today I was really in the mood for, you know, a calming session, just a bit of catching up and doing a very natural sort of makeup, the one that I've been pretty much doing every day at the moment. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Say hi in the comments and please let me know what have you been using? What are you suggesting to me? Let me know what freckle products you recommend I try because, you know, we don't want to support brands that are not including everyone. But yeah, it's such a pleasure to hang out always. I'll see you in the next one. Bisous bisous, yours truly.